Now, joining me in the studio, and such a privilege too to have Asif Mall from Voice of the Martyrs New Zealand, a partner for 10 years with Voice of the Martyrs, who have an upcoming conference. In fact, that conference happening tomorrow. So excited to have you in the studio and to hear your story, Asif.
Thank you so much, Diane, for having me. Yes, our Voice of the Martyrs New Zealand conference is taking place tomorrow on Saturday. And it will be lovely to have many of the viewers who are especially based in Auckland to be able to come and join us physically. It will be great to interact with you.
So for those who may not know too much about you, you've got quite a story, Asif, and I wondered if we could just find out, firstly, a little bit about you, who you are, how you came to work for the Voice of the Martyrs, and how you're in New Zealand.
Yes, I was born and raised in Pakistan to a Christian family. I grew up there, went to school, college, and then university, and then started serving the Lord in Pakistan before moving to the UK in 1996, almost 28 years ago, initially to pursue biblical studies, and I studied at University of Sheffield. And then I joined full-time mission work, and my first appointment was Birmingham. I was there for 9 years and before moving closer to London about 17 years ago. And my primary role was to do a lot of evangelism. I was doing a television show and about 1 million people watching my show in UK and Britain. And then we saw many of people become Christian, including many from my home country of Pakistan. And then I saw the suffering, the persecution they had to go through. And that's where I decided that I can't just, not doing anything is not an option. So I decided that I need to help them, stand with them, show solidarity to them. And that's where God crossed my paths with Voice of the Martyrs. And I started to work very closely with them, partner with them. And together, we are bringing support and comfort to our brothers and sisters who are suffering for their Christian faith, including those who are converts from Islam to Christianity.
Now, growing up as a Christian in Pakistan, I wonder if you can tell us what it was like then as a Christian in Pakistan and what the situation is for Christians there now.
The situation since I left Pakistan has gone from bad to worse. Almost every single Christian in Pakistan is discriminated against when it comes to jobs, admissions in schools, colleges. And for example, if the government department advertises 10 jobs and 100 people apply, 10 of them are Christian, 90 of them are Muslims. So they will fill those 10 vacancies from those 90 Muslims, and Christians will be pushed back. So it's kind of an economic pressure on them that if you want a better life, a better education, better jobs, then the door is open for you to convert to Islam. A constant economic pressure on us. But that's something else that every single Christian has to pretty much go through. But we are talking about here hardcore persecution, which the main source of the persecution at the moment is a notorious law called the blasphemy law. And they accuse one Christian of blasphemy. And Christians, due to security reasons, tend to live together in colonies and shanty towns. And so what happens is that when a Christian is accused under this law, which carries mandatory death sentence, a collective punishment follows. A mob turns up with guns, machetes, explosives, and burns down the whole area. More recently, a town called Jadawala, 26 churches and hundreds of homes were burned to ground. And Christians obviously ran for their life. Their property was kind of vandalized and robbed. And then even after that, there is another town in Pakistan, central Punjab, a city called Sargodha, where one Christian guy in almost more than 70 years of age, they accused him because there was jealousy. He was running a factory, and the Muslims did not want him to be prosperous. So he was accused, and right in front of his own house, he was lynched. He was beaten to death. While the mob chanting slogans of how great their God is, Allahu Akbar, as they say in Arabic language. So those are the kind of incidences that take place which makes Christians feel very, very insecure in that country. But we praise God that we Christians are, despite all that persecution, are not converting to Islam in large numbers. They are still steadfast in their faith, and we praise God for organizations like Voice of the Martyrs New Zealand, who is standing squarely with them to bring comfort and support and discipleship and biblical materials and all the things that we can provide to help them stay strong in their faith. And that's why I think that as a very solid response of Christians and churches in New Zealand to persecution of Christians worldwide is through Voice of the Martyrs New Zealand. And so I will encourage all of those listening to not just see this as a story that they heard and then forget about it. It's a real life situation where you can play a part. You can be counted among those who stood with those who were being persecuted. And you can do it by signing up to Voice of the Martyrs newsletters to stay informed. You can pray intelligently for those who are being persecuted, and you can also find out any practical ways that you can contribute to show solidarity with your brothers and sisters who are suffering for their faith and despite persecution staying strong in their faith.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing. No doubt a part of your heart has been left in Pakistan, having grown up there. So, yeah, knowing the stories, it probably just feels really hard. I wonder, has there been some positive trends around the world for the persecuted church? Are we seeing, it's gone bad to worse for Pakistan, but is that the case everywhere?
It has been the case in a number of places. But positive, I think one of the positive things that I would like to emphasize is that if you look around the world where Christians are there places where Christians are discriminated and persecuted, there are places where Christians are very harshly persecuted, and then there are places in the world where Christians are hardly persecuted, like New Zealand, for example. When we look at the growth, the numerical growth of the church, where church is growing, is it growing in places where Christians are not persecuted? Or is it growing where the Christians are persecuted? So I think that Christian faith seems to grow faster in places where there is some degree of persecution. And God uses that as a way to expand and strengthen His kingdom. The fastest growing church today in the world is either in Iran or in China. And both of those countries, we know that Christians are being oppressed. Whereas when it comes to numerical growth, we're sad to say this, that places like New Zealand, there's a negative growth in the church. People are leaving churches. And so I think that the only two ways that I come to the conclusion, people can disagree with me if they want, those who are viewers listening to this program, but I would say that in order to change the situation in New Zealand, there are only two ways to go about it. One is to pray that Lord bring some persecution to us here so we can numerically grow. The second option is to feel, because we're all one body of the Jesus Christ around the world, and feel the pain of those parts of the body that are suffering, stand in solidarity with them, and get involved in supporting persecuted Christians. And by listening to their stories of staying steadfast and strong in their faith despite persecution, will also strengthen your church. It will bless you, including numerically. Now, what would you like to do? Would you like persecution to come to New Zealand? Or would you rather support persecuted Christians and get involved in standing with Voice of the Martyrs to do that? And these are the only two ways. I don't know about you, but if I were you, I will go with the second option personally.
I think so too, Asif. I'm going to go with that as well. Hey, now you mentioned the conference. It is the Faith Under Fire conference. It's happening tomorrow in Auckland. Can you give us a little insight into what you're speaking about at the conference?
I'll be speaking at various perspectives on what the Bible tells us Christians should do. What God's intention is through this persecution. Is He trying to punish His people, or is He going to use this also to expand and strengthen His kingdom And if that is the case, how is he doing that? How can we become part of it? And then I will be sharing some more sensitive stuff about some testimonies of people who are going through persecution. And so if you are interested to hear those, you have to come and join us tomorrow at the conference. And I believe that those who will come will be blessed. Your faith will be uplifted and encouraged. You will feel encouraged. You will be able to encourage others. And I think it will be a life-changing experience for those who are able to come. So I will strongly urge and request all those Christians listening to this program to please come and join us tomorrow.
Okay, so that's at the Curate Church in Mount Eden tomorrow. I see that it's something that you can just rock on up to, and it's $35 at the door, which I just think is absolutely incredible. If you do want to find out a bit more information, though, here's the website address. It's easy. It is an easy one. Thank goodness for that, right? VOM, so vom.org.nz. Asif, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's an absolute pleasure to speak with you, and all the best with your future journey.
Thank you so much, Diane, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on Rhema. Now, if you found value in today's content, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel with the subscribe button. This really helps us to continue to produce more quality content for you. And hey, if you'd like to stay updated and never miss any of our future videos, ring that notification bell as well. Don't forget to follow us on our other socials, which are in the description below. And until then, stay tuned.